6:02. I'm going to call to order. We are down to 3 people, but state law, because we're down to 3, we have a quorum of 2. So we can go ahead, and if Kim rolls in, we'll just catch him up. I just had, while I was sitting here chatting, I lost my agenda. I X'd out of it. So I'll pull my agenda back up. And so we have, for the record, we have Rick and Tasha are here. Kim is absent for the moment. He may roll in. I have not heard from him. Did you see any text from him?
No.
Okay. That's all right. Hopefully he is safe wherever he's at.
I hear a
That
door.
might be him. Let's see if that's Kim.
It is.
All right. Come on in. Glad you're here.
Thanks.
Okay, we've got everybody. Kim, Rick, and Tasha.
Sorry I'm late.
No worries. I was saying I hadn't heard from you, and that's abnormal, so I figured you'd come in some minute.
It was like I've been 10 minutes late for every meeting I've had today. So
No. Well, ours will be hopefully the easiest one you've had today.
there you go.
We don't have any minutes from the last meeting. Our last meeting was quite some time ago.
Yeah.
We had such structural change. Our last meeting was our special meeting. I will have those minutes next meeting, and the minutes from this meeting in November for us to approve. I'm catching up and learning myself, so
Yeah.
I'll have those.
Are we replacing the 2?
We're trying to. Lisa said she was going to put that out there, that we need some new members, if we have some volunteers.
Okay.
Once we start that process, hopefully we'll get a chance to kind of input in that, but really it's the council's, like, their choice.
Is there a time limit, like you have to live here in the village?
I don't know. You just have to be a well, yeah, everybody but me has to be a resident. We have one ETJ member, that would be me. Everybody else, you just have to be a resident.
Because I'm trying to get my neighbor. He's new.
Awesome.
He moved in June,
Perfect. That'd be great.
so he's considering. So we'll see.
Where do you come from?
Colorado,
Okay. So
and he's
that would
military.
yeah, that'd be nice. Nice.
Do you
So-
think with all of, I mean, what are we up to here, 1,000 residents?
We've got a
now?
lot of
More,
residents, and I
right?
think there's so much more civic involvement, hopefully.
Well, planning and zoning, you'd think people would want to.
Yeah, you have so much input on what goes on around
Yeah.
here. We would hope, and honestly, for the record, I'm just gonna say, if you would like to volunteer, please contact Lisa. We would love to have you on the board. You really don't need any real training. We kind of OJT it over here. We're on the job training pretty much.
But you have to have an opinion, right?
Yeah, but we'd love to have your opinion. We'd love you to get involved and be part of a group that actually affects change. We're not decision makers, but we try to. We like to be part of the guidance of that decision maker. The village council they're the rule setters and the decision makers by law, but our opinion matters, and so and our recommendations matter. So I would love to find some new members, and if you're civic minded and would love to come and spend some time putting some time in on a board and volunteering, please get in touch with Lisa at the village.
Can I ask you a question? This is
Sure.
kind of
Yeah.
unrelated, but who approves the look and the design and the size and everything related to actual houses here? Do we have a say in that?
No.
Okay.
And there was a state bill that came in 3 years ago, I think it was 3 years ago. There was a state bill that said, we still have some parameters, like setbacks and things like
Yeah.
that. But as far as the look of a home, we really don't have a lot of say. We can't say what the square footage can be. Like, that used to be a thing. Neighborhoods could say it has to be 2,400 square feet. It has to have so many, you have to have a 2-car garage, blah, blah, blah. Has so many parking spaces per.
Yeah.
You can't say any of that. We have no say in that anymore.
Well, barn dominiums we have a say in, right?
Yes, that was shot down.
Yeah.
That was not approved. But, so that is a little bit different case because it's a different style of home.
Yeah.
But if you have a home, let's say, like any home, like any regular home could probably be approved, I would say. You'd probably call Lisa for for absolutes.
Yeah.
But as far as I know, if it's a normal, regular home, now the barn dominium is a little different
Yeah.
because that's a whole different structure of a home.
Yeah.
That up until now has been able to be,
Yeah.
made decisions on. But the way that our state congressional things are going, that might be a thing
So
that
that
passed
overrides
eventually too.
anything local.
The state overrides.
Is
Yep. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't wanna get into any political
yeah.
kind of things, but there's certain neighborhoods here, houses are big and beautiful and nice, and then other ones, you kinda go, well, how big is that house? Is that like 1,000 square feet, or is that?
You
not that
cannot, and the reason that we can't do that is because, that speaks to affordability. And then you start to become a situation where you could redline. I don't know if you've ever heard the word redlining. It is a form of redlining to keep certain people out that don't have a certain income
Yeah,
if they can't afford to build a 2,400 square foot home, especially in this day and age. Because you're talking 200 to 300. In our area right now, it's $200 to $300 a square foot
yeah,
to build. I would say toward the latter of that, to build a custom home. So you start adding that up, that's a significant amount of
sure.
income that you would need to be able to finance that or be able to afford it, and now you're talking about excluding people from being able to live in certain neighborhoods and
And-
districts, school districts, neighborhoods, all of
And
that.
I'm not arguing
No, one way or the
affordability
other.
or financially or anything, it's the aesthetics that I'm talking
Yeah.
about, Kinda like, do we need a little, one bedroom house at the entrance of Foxfire?
Yeah, I do not think that they can say, because of state law, how big a home can be anymore. But they do have to follow setbacks and all the things that, like, we have all the guidelines in our UDO.
Yeah.
Those we can say legally. But as far as the size of a home, we can no longer, that's a state law as of a
Yeah.
couple years ago. We can no longer
Well, you
do
know
that.
this, I mean, like, that side of the newer side, the houses tend to be bigger and with nicer landscaping and things. The older side, like I live over on Wren, our house is 40 years old, it was renovated when we bought it, but it's a whole different look than what's
Yeah.
going on the Great Course side.
I think any neighborhood like ours where you have multiple decades of building, you're gonna have, and then what you'll see as the lots, like you see how much building has been done, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, how much building is going on since I would say 2020 would be a good start point of a kind of a building boom. You're gonna see as these lots build out, you have a lot of people that have held on to lots next to them, they bought
Yeah.
2 lots, things like that. Those lots may stay empty, but as we run into the situation where you have less and less lots, it will do exactly what every other area has done, and it's neat to see in our area, because we're kind of such a fine microscope, we're small.
Yeah,
So it's easy to see it, super easy. We're gonna see more and more houses that are smaller, that are gonna be torn down because the land is more valuable than to have the house and the land.
yeah,
So then those older homes that were built in the late 70s that are tiny, 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 don't have a garage, or not really, they're not really outfitted for what someone would have today, those homes will be eventually torn down and new homes will be built in their stead. I work for a company out of New Jersey, and it's hard for them to get the concept of how much land we have that's usable, that's buildable, because they're dealing with that situation. People will buy an older home, and it's just easier to tear it down
Sure.
and build something new. But anyway, we don't have any public comment tonight. We don't have any old business. We've kind of moved through most of stuff. I needed to meet with Lisa, but I don't know if you guys have heard about the whole fire department thing going on. Like,
It was all settled.
yeah, it is. I was joking. So, like, they've had their hands full for a couple weeks.
Oh, yeah.
And so Lisa was like, "Yeah, I'll see you in November." So we'll have more to do in November. I'm hoping to meet with her next week and then she'll give us, I'm sure there'll be corrections and different things in the UDO to go through. We do have new business to go through. I was approached, I've been approached a couple times, I'll be honest about this. Horses in RA5, EU, also includes, I would say, RF200 and RE. When I made this was last, couple weeks ago now. So it really does apply to the large lot areas. So when we went to RA5, I had a couple people approach me and say, hey, what are you doing? I'm in real estate, so I do talk to a lot of realtors, and I had realtors that warned, and they were like, hey, you guys have a 6 acre minimum for horses. This is horse country. This whole county is horse country. You've got people all down Foxfire Road, all down Hoffman Road, all down, going towards Richmond County, Grand Pines, all of this horse activity, but you're undercutting these homes and these lots. Now you've made a 5 acre minimum, but you have a 6 acre lot for horses. And I really, at the time, I was like, to me, I just feel like that's kind of crazy. I don't have any dog in that fight. We've got many other things going on right now. I don't have a resident saying this is a hardship. So that was just dealing with business and realtors. Recently, somebody listed their home in the last 2 months, and that was a resident that came to me and said, hey, this is a hardship for me. I have about 6 or 7 people that would love to look at my home, but because it's on a 5 acre lot, it's the 5 acre minimum that you guys required, and that's what this developer split it out to, because that was the minimum. The original lots was 20 acres that he bought, and then he split that into 5s. Mm-hmm. And she said, now you have this 6 acre minimum for horses, and the rest of the county doesn't have that opinion, but Foxfire does, and I'm losing out on money. My home would be worth more if I could offer this as an equestrian available property, but because of 1 acre, I can't do that. And the neighbors around her aren't willing to sell her an acre of land, so she's kind of out in the market.
I'm not aware of any within Foxfire itself.
No.
There aren't any, right?
No, there are no large lot properties that this would apply to. So this would only be for RA5. We're talking large lot properties.
You're looking at this, right?
No, let's start with what we have here. Yeah, okay. Let's start there. So what we have right now, equine may be kept in lots within the district specified above. And really, if you have over 5 acres, you're probably in EU, RF200, RA5, and RE, residential estate. That meet the minimum lot size of 6 acres and other requirements this section. Maximum number of horses that may be regularly kept on such lots is 2 for the first 6 acres plus 1 horse each additional 2 acres of continuous property under the same ownership and control. Acreage shall not be counted or attributed to more than 1 animal for purposes of satisfying acreage requirements. Any barn, shed, hutch, roost, pen should be located 150 feet from any property line that abuts residential zoning. So that's really what I'm looking at.
Does it make a big difference between 5 and 6? What does she want you to do? Take it to 5?
She has, I looked at everything. I went way down a rabbit hole. I went into the North Carolina NC State. I called them, the North Carolina State Cooperative, because I deal with them a lot with my farm, which is a whole different banana because it's an herb farm, but not an animal farm. So I called and talked to somebody I knew there, and then he directed me to this Forages for Horses, which is the North Carolina, this piece back here. This gives you, if you're not, because I'm not a horse person, I like horses, they're pretty, but I don't want to keep them.
Yeah.
So I was like, I need an expert. He gave me this. This is what the state goes off of as well. So the state recommendation you have here, and the state recommendation is for breeding and pasture grazing. I would say anybody that has a horse on 5 acres is not running an operation. Yeah. They've got a pet horse or 2 pet horses that they think is fabulous and they love it and it's their pet and they ride it. They probably have a horse trailer. They probably take it to the Moss Foundation and ride out there. You're certainly not going to be trail riding on 5 acres. So this is a horse that probably lives in a barn, has some small grazing area, a small pen for training, or a dry lot's what it's called. I've learned so much. You wouldn't believe what I've learned the ridiculous most amount of. You know how nerdy I am anyway. So I've learned all kinds of stuff.
Thing.
My husband's terrified. He's like, "You're not gonna want a horse, right?" And I was like, "No." I'm not a horse person, but I've learned all kinds of cool stuff.
Does this have any, Rainview Vista over here, that's basically a horse community,
Rainview
right?
has their own, they have 10-acre lot minimum in Rainview.
Oh, they do?
So that, it wouldn't really apply to them.
Okay,
And I think Grand Pines is the same way.
okay,
We're talking mostly about the ETJ and the RE, which is residential estate. And then we can kind of look at some of the lots if you guys want to. This would not be in the village proper.
yeah,
Nothing like
So it's
that.
in the-
Now, but you have abutting properties because it's
Yeah.
ETJ. So recommendation for the state is 4 acres. This wouldn't be a boarding thing. This is basically, and I actually printed out, we all know this house. So if you want to think about a property to think about, right up on Hoffman Road. Or, so if you're leaving, going towards 211,
yeah,
just as you leave our ETJ, there is a horse property
Oh, yeah.
right there on the right. And that's literally 5 acre property. So what she has is 1 acre of property here. That's a horse paddock. She's got a dry lot, and she has a back 1.25 acre. And she has her house in the middle and a barn. So you see on there?
okay,
We pass this property, anytime you go out to 211, you pass this property.
okay,
So you barely know it's there because it's so well done.
Mm.
But there's more than enough room, given the state recommendations, and she's got 2 horses on this lot. It's pretty much a perfect example of what a 5 acre lot would look like. Because basically we're only talking about properties that are 5 acres in between 5 and 6 that this would affect.
What is why would anybody be against that, making it to 5 acres? Is there any?
I will be honest, I had a discussion with somebody from the board, and just, their opinion is that, and they own horses. They have horses, and so they're, by nature of their hobby, they have some expertise around that. Their opinion is that it should be 10 acres. But we currently have a 6 acre rule.
But why? Like, what is their reasoning for?
I think because of the nature of, what I was given was the nature of our land. We don't really, this is kind of the sand hills, it's not a lot of foraging. Her grass paddocks look great. I've never seen her grass paddocks be anything more than lush and beautiful and green, but there are certain properties around us that don't necessarily have lush green. If you keep going down Hoffman Road, it's just out of our ETJ, but there are like 4 horse properties. Almost when you get to that big horse property on the right, there's a couple horse properties down there that are smaller lots. I think they're 3 acres. The county's rule is 1 acre. You can have 1 horse. Or actually, they don't have a number. You can have a horse if you have an acre.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have a limit on the number of horses you can have.
so you could have 50 horses.
No, I don't
On
think
1 acre.
I don't think any equestrian person would do that.
No, but is there a rule of thumb for an equestrian?
I think if you're a person that owns horses and you have let's say you have 1 acre of property and you've got a house on that, and you've got your building for your horse, and you've got let's say you put 4 horses there. You're probably not treating your horses very well, and somebody's going to call. This is a big equine area.
Yeah.
Big equine. Somebody will call in on you, and you are probably going to lose your horses.
Hmm.
There's no way that you can keep them with any good animal stewardship with that many horses
Yeah.
on 1 acre of property.
I mean,
But
you think there'd be a rule of thumb, like 1 acre per horse or
I
something
think
like
the county's position, I talked to county zoning, and they didn't say this out loud, they didn't say the quiet part out loud, but the gist that I got, and I inferred, and I'll be honest with that, it was my understanding, just based on the conversation, they expect people who own horses to make that determination for themselves.
Yeah.
Because it's their right to, basically the county says, if you have an acre of property and you wanna keep a horse on it, that's your business. We don't have a dog in that fight, as long as you are doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah.
I think for us, and that was kind of like where I called all the zoning, and what I couldn't find. I will say Carthage is redoing their UDO, and I couldn't get anybody on to call me back. Their whole UDO is not even on the website. Like, I can't even look at their old UDO. So I couldn't see what Carthage does. And Cameron is teeny tiny. I couldn't even get anybody to call me back, but I think they're a one-woman operation down there. But everybody else in the county, I've got that here. So Moore County is 1 acre with no limit of horses. Vass is 5 acres with 1 per acre. You can have 5 horses on 5 acres. Carthage, I don't know. I think it might be 5 acres in their ETJ. Pinehurst is 5 acres. Southern Pines is the only one with a large acre limit, and theirs is 10 acres unless you were grandfathered in. So as of December 1989, if your deed is before December of 1989, it can be 4.59 acres. And they don't have a limit on their horses either, or how many you can have. Cameron, I don't know. Aberdeen is 5 acres, 1 per almost half acre fenced. Foxfire 6 acres with a 2 limit plus 1 per addition. If you have 8 acres, you can have 3 horses. Robbins is 5 acres with no limit. Whispering Pines is 4 acres with no limit. I think, I would make a recommendation just to ease the hardship on those acres that are 5 acre lots. Because we're going to see, as more land is developed around here, we're going to see more and more strict 5 acre lots. Because that's the standard we have set. Mm-hmm. So basically, without movement, we're saying if your developer comes in and buys 100 acres, and they split that up into 5 acre lots, nobody can have horses because you're not 6 acres. And you can't borrow an acre from your neighbor because they can't go under 5.
I think it's, I just wanted to hear what their objections to having it.
That was the only, I just asked one person on the board, and that was their opinion. I think we have, being that we set the 5 acre rule, I just feel like it would be silly not to say.
I agree.
Yeah, and especially because the rest of the county kind of says the same thing we do. We're the only ones that have that high, except for Southern Pines.
So you're making somebody buy a lot that's an odd size.
If
it's
they
not
can get
5, right? So it's, to me, it's. Makes sense.
This does not have to be our recommendation, but if you look at the recommended change, I recommended 2 things, and I don't, these are just recommendations. It doesn't have to be what we go with. It was just kind of after reading everything, looking at everything, talking to realtors, talking to zoning. I recommended that we move this minimum lot size to 5 acres to have a horse, and then you can have 2 on the first 5 acres, and if you have 1 acre. If you have 1 more acre, then you can have 1 more horse on each additional acre. And I know this is going to be controversial. I was looking at the setbacks of different 5 acre properties and different things around different areas. I think 150 feet is a little bit rough. 150 feet is half the distance. The Statue of Liberty is 300 feet tall, and that's half of the Statue of Liberty. It's a tennis court. A tennis court is 150 feet. To ask someone to put a barn, it has to be 150 feet from your lot line. That's very restrictive.
Again, because I'm not a horse person, so I don't know, but what could be, in your research, what would be the problem of having it 75 feet?
I think that's where I need neighborhood expertise, because that would only apply to people that are backing up to residential lots. So if you have a residential lot that backs up to a large lot, and that person can, let's say you back up to a 5 acre property. Right. Now this person can have a horse.
Right. 75 feet in.
75 feet from your line is where they can have their horse. Now, their horse can be on that line. Their horse
It's
can
just the
come right
building.
up to it, but the barn
Right.
can't be within 75 feet of your line. But I mean,
Would
is
it
it gonna
be-
make a difference 75 feet from 150
No,
feet? Like,
so, I mean, but what would be, like, is it the size of the barn that would be the problem? I mean,
I don't know why I wasn't around when that 150 feet was put in there. I think 150 feet setback is really
you're taking
excessive.
up a lot of the property.
That's huge. That's huge, and I think it's a hardship. And I don't think that we need to be in the business of creating hardships.
I agree.
I mean, I would be less concerned about 75 versus 150 versus what's on the other side, you know, like if someone came and we don't abut a potentially
Yeah.
lot, I mean, it could happen,
Yeah.
somebody could buy 3 houses and tear them down and build a horse farm. But, you know, I don't want, like if I have a pool in my backyard, I don't want it right next to
The horse.
the horse where
Yeah.
the horse is.
But they
But,
can have, the horse could go up to the property line anyway.
but the horse can go.
Could,
Yeah.
yeah,
The horse can go where they want to, really within their fence area. We're just talking about the building that they go in.
yeah,
And I think, you know, that was just my opinion. And I think it's good to have the devil's advocate and to think like,
yeah.
you know, I don't live in the neighborhood, but if I had a property that abutted, I would be less worried about that barn than I am that horse.
Now, is there, for a barn, there is like, what's the word, not cosmetic, but
Aesthetic or?
aesthetic.
Yeah, that's
aesthetic.
already in our.
So that's
video.
there already, so
Yeah.
that's already, so you're not gonna be able to put some monstrosity up and.
No, and
so,
yeah, you can't just mess around. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think that's fine, I wouldn't,
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's,
I mean, I think we might be overthinking it a little bit,
Yeah.
because how often is this circumstance
right,
gonna happen?
exactly. It's not in the village, and it's gonna be on acres that are already, 5 acres or more anyway,
Yeah,
so.
I think it's pretty straightforward,
Yeah.
just to kind of, all these other, well, not all, but most of these other places say 5, so let's just be compliant and say 5.
all right, well, then we typically don't do this, but I'm trying to do it the right way. I've got my own rules of order here, so we're gonna bring it to a vote, and I vote yes.
Yes,
Do you want
On-
a verbal yes, or a,
You can do ayes.
what's the procedure?
Well, you can do yeses or ayes.
I like I.
Okay, well, aye. Aye.
so the question, I mean, so.
And then we
would
have
be-
to have a motion to recommend. Yeah.
So the recommended change that you have listed here,
Right,
so I'll second.
all right. So I made the motion, you're
Second.
seconding. All right, so we're gonna recommend this to the council. And that concludes our business for the evening.
That was
It
easy.
All right.
That was, well, you did all the work, so it's
Well,
made it easy.
it just, and I think going forward, just as a procedural thing, and I need to get better at it. I want to send you guys out, because I haven't been. I'll send out the agenda, but nothing else comes with it. I think in the future, I want to start sending this stuff to you ahead of time. Like, once I meet with Lisa, then my goal is to say, okay, set the agenda, these are the things that need to be discussed. Then any backup information I have, like recommended changes or any stuff like this, that all comes to you. We can't discuss it outside of the meeting, but it gives you the ability to do your own research prior to. So it's not a new thing every time you walk in. You're like, oh, well, this is all the information I have. Well, what if you what if you were opposed to it and you wanted to bring your own information?
Right.
Now, a situation like this is kind of non-plus, but what about that business we discussed in August where it was all wild?
Right.
Like, that
Well, it also
might
gives
be a
you,
better,
it gives you a chance to look at maybe what the detriment is to having it 75 feet or
Right.
whatever it is. I
Right.
mean, just gives an opportunity just to look.
right? Like, you
I mean,
can
this
look
is
up your
no-
own properties.
Right, I think this is just, I mean,
Yeah.
this is, to me, it's a no-brainer. It's just-
Yeah. To me, I think because we set if we had not set the RA5,
Right,
then it would be a little, I think it would be a little bit different conversation, but once we set that RA5, then we have set a minimum lot size of 5 acres. Now, everybody that has this 5 acres,
they can't have a horse.
no.
Yeah, that doesn't.
And
that
that's
doesn't
naturally,
make
developers that come in and they start breaking down these larger lots in the ETJ and in the RF and all these other areas, those lots will naturally move to a 5-acre lot. They're not gonna split it up in 6-acre lots.
No.
What would be the reason to do
It
that?
doesn't make sense.
They can make more money splitting into 5s. Well, now you've got a hardship to the, you know, area because you've got that 5-acre lot, well, you're missing a part of the market.
Sorry, just a clarification, how does this work? It says is it Moore County limits you to 1 acre? So
No,
is-
they say Moore County they have their own UDO.
Yeah,
So anybody that's not in a municipality, a village, or an ETJ, we're all in either the village or the ETJ.
yeah,
Everybody else is out in the county. And the county has their own zoning and their own UDO and everything. They have the same thing we do on a bigger scale, and they
Yeah.
make their own rules. And their rule of thumb for horse properties is if you have 1 acre, you can have a horse. And they don't limit you, and they don't limit you to how many you can have.
gotcha.
But, you know, I think anybody that's gonna, horses from what I've gathered, they're very expensive. Some of the horses we have in our community probably cost more than I do.
Sure.
So, you
It
know,
just makes sense.
I think people that own horses are good stewards.
Yeah.
They should have an opportunity to make their own decisions on what they do on their property with their horses. I don't think anybody intends to keep, you
Yeah.
know, an excessive number of horses.
Our neighbors, we live again over here in the old Foxfire area, they have 27 horses,
Wow.
but they're all harness racing horses and they keep them at the fair barn.
Oh,
In
they
the
have them
winter.
at the fair barn.
Oh,
Do
in
they
the
bring them
winter.
to their property?
No, they never bring them, because, you know, we're in a residential.
Oh, they're in the residential area too. I thought you might abut up to some of these
No.
bigger ETJ
No.
areas.
Right?
Because
They
I
own-
know if you go down Jackson Springs Road, there is a whole arena out there, and that's in the
Yeah.
ETJ. But they have, I think they're on probably 20 or 30 acres. But they have an actual covered outdoor arena
Yeah.
to do, because I think they're dressage.
Yeah,
So it's big business
these
around here.
people have harness racing horses, they go up
That's
to
so cool.
Indiana and Illinois
Wow.
and Chicago.
That is so cool.
So,
Very, very cool. All right, well, I
Okay.
think I'm gonna adjourn us. It is 6, oh, well, wait, we need a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
second,
All right.
there we go.